Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. As you know, your first exam is on a Thursday, and you guys have the review. So if you have any questions from the review, any problem that wasn't clear, can you please put it on chat and I will go through them. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to get all your paper together and put the problem that you struggled with on on the chat. Okay, I go through each one of them, and of course I want to go over the quiz because your quiz was not good this time. Okay, so please keep putting your problems. I will go through each one of them. Okay, great. All right, so before I take up your problem, as I said, your quiz this time was not actually very good. You did well. And no, Yash, you talk to me privately later on. No, you cannot have two exams at the same time. All right. Okay, so first I will talk about the quiz because you did not basically, it was not very good. You know, your previous quizzes were way better. So I will start with the first problem. Let f be the function that assigns to each time t in hours the amount of nicotines in milligrams in a person's bloodstream. So this is a function that you give it the time, and it gives you, so that's my app, that's my rule, amount of nicotine at time t. At time t. Okay, so here, that's the time in hours, because that's my unit. And this is nicotine, amount of nicotine in milligrams. Okay. All right, so question is find the average rate. So first we're going to use the formula verbatim, and then we have to figure out the average rate, the meaning and the unit. So what's the average rate of change? It's the output at 4 minus the output at 1 divided by 4 minus 1. Okay. And what is f of 4? Now, when I give you the graph of a function, you just look at the graph and figure out what's f of 4. Some student came up with a formula. I don't know where they got it from. So when you have the graph, you just look at the graph and you say, okay, what is f of 4? So if my 4 is here, that's my 4. F of 4, you go all the way till you hit the graph. So f of 4 is 20. Okay. And what is f of 1? Okay, this is 1 here. To find how much nicotine you have after 1 hour, according to the graph, you have 40 milligrams of nicotine. So the average rate, it's going to be equal to amount of nicotine after that, which is 20, minus 40, divided by 3, which is going to give you minus 20 over 3. Okay, so that's really the answer, which is almost equal. I'm going to put it in decimal, so just to have a feeling what this number is. So it's almost 6.66. And now the question is, what's the unit and what it means? So let us understand the unit, understand what's happening. The top is giving me what? Between 1 and 4, the amount of nicotine, of course, decreased. There were 40 milligrams after 1 hour from finishing smoking the cigarette. It went down all the way to 20 milligrams. So minus 20 is by how much the amount decreased. But it took 3 hours to do this decrease. So when you're taking minus 20 over 3, what you're actually ending up with is how many milligram per hour. So the unit is milligram per hour. Okay, so it means when you think average rate, think speed. It means how fast was the nicotine going down, decreasing as time passes by. So it's like when I give you a speed, when I tell you how fast were you driving, you don't tell me 60 miles. You tell me 60 miles per hour. That's how fast your distance was changing. And that's really exactly the same thing. The amount of nicotine went down by minus 20 over 3 hours period. So it averaged 6.60 milligram per hour. So the unit is milligram per hour. And what does this mean? So the nicotine is decreasing. We all know that. How fast was it decreasing? So this tells me that between the time, that's the interpretation, 1 and 4, the amount of nicotine was decreasing on average, and that's important, on average 6.66 milligram per hour. Okay, so in 3 hours you lost to 20, so you average 6 milligram per hour. That's the meaning of the average rate of change. All right. Please question as I move on. Please ask questions. That's the only way I know whether you understood or not. Now, number 2, we will go over that. Is usually it wasn't bad, so I don't have most of your questions. I may cover one of those problems. Now, number 3 is find the equation. And some of you found the slope and stopped. I don't know why. But to find the equation, and we're going to also talk a little bit what it means, the equation. So you guys understand what does this word really mean to us. So here I have a line. Okay. And go through the point 2, minus 1. That's a point. And my other point is minus 10, 3. So minus 10 should be somewhere here, and 3 should be somewhere here. So this is my line. Almost. I hope. Okay. Next time I will have a scale. Now we want to find the equation. So, and you use the point slope. So first we're going to find the slope. It's y2 minus y1, means 3 minus minus 1 over x2 minus x1, minus 10 minus 2. That's give me 4 over minus 12, which is minus a third. We expect the slope to be negative because the line is falling. And now the equation. Since I asked for the point slope, so the equation would be y minus y0 is m times x minus x0. No, you can use, let me use the point 2 minus 1. It's going to give me 2 minus minus 1 equal the slope x minus 2. It means y plus 1 equal, I distribute, minus minus, which is plus 2/3. Okay. And then I take 1 away, I will get minus 1 over 3x, plus 2/3 minus 1, common factor, plus 2/3 minus 3/3, and then I will end up with y equal minus 1 over 3x minus a third. That's the equation. And now, what does it mean? This is the equation. Okay, so let us see what does this mean to us. So I'm going to draw the graph again and understand what does equation tells me and why would we care. So, okay. I'm going to draw the line again, 2 minus 1. So 2 minus 1 is here. And minus 10, 3. So the line is going to look something like that. Okay, straight. All right. And the equation is minus a third x minus a third. What does the equation tells me? Can anybody tells me what does the equation give us? What does the equation tells me?
That the slope's going down?
That's one thing. I want more. Why do we need the equation? I know the line. Why do we need the equation? Okay. The equation tells me, gives me the rule that if I take any point on the line, that's really what the equation did. Give me the rules such that if I know any point, if I take a point on the graph, and if I know the x component, this will give me the y component. That's really what this equation for. It gives me the rule so that if I know I take a point on the line, I know it's x, the rule gives me the y. That's really what this equation is really about. That's why we care about it. So I know to point, fine, I can draw the line. But now if I want to know what happened for x equal -7, what can I do? The equation will give you this. So if I take x equal -7, I take a point on the graph. So this is -7 down here. And I want to know the other component. That's what it gives me. It gives me this rule. So if x equal -7, okay, this will be -1/3 times -7 -1/3. So now I know what the y is. -1/3 times -7, that's 7/3, -1/3, it's 6/3, which is equal to 2. The rule will give me the other component. The rule will give me the 2. So that's really what the formula tells me. It tells me if you take a point, any point, if you know a value, you will know the other one. That's what it means find the equation. That's what it means find the formula. Okay. So why did I bring this up? Because you guys messed up number 4 really bad. Okay, so I will go over number 4. When I gave it, I was not planning a hard problem at all. That was not on my mind. I thought it was very easy, actually. So a baseball card was purchased for $20. So you buy a card and you pay $20 for it. And the value is increasing at a constant rate. Constant rate, it means it was increasing by the same amount every unit. It was increasing by the same amount. It means it's a linear function. Assume that 10 years after purchase, the value of the car was 82. So you buy it at $20. After 10 years, it's worth 82. So, and it's increasing at the same rate. It means increasing by the same amount every year. Let f be the function that is assigned to each time t in years, the value of the card t years after its purchase. So what is f? F is the following function. Assigned to the time. You give it time in years. In years. So that's you give it the time. What f does, it gives you the value. That's what it does, the value of the card at time t. So that's my function. Your input time spits out the value of the card. So f of t represent value of the card at time t. Of course, at the times change, the value is increasing at a constant rate. Now, telling you that it increases at a constant rate, it means the value change with time. It means as time goes by, the value change by the same amount every unit of time. So it means f of t is a linear function. It means when you graph it, you get a line. It means the formula for it is mt plus b. And the question is find a formula for f of t. It means you can find the rule. If you know time, you know the value. That's what it means formula. Find the rule. You give it time to give you the value. All right. So what are, to find the formula, I need data. What do they give me? The card was purchased for $20 and its value is increasing. And assume after 10 years, the value of the card is 82. So this is time, and that's value of the car. Time in years, value of the car in dollars. And what do they tell me? You purchase it, means that equal to 0, $20. because T represents years after purchase. So T equal to 0 is when you purchase it. After 10 years, the value is 82. So that's the table that represents this function. And that's the table I want to use to find the formula. So the picture now is at T equal to 0, that's the value of my car. After 10 years, the value of my car went up all the way to 82, went up along a line. It means every time it increasing by the same amount. That's what linearity. Find the formula. I need M and I need B. The slope is, now it's a line. I need to find the slope of this line. So it's going to be 82 minus 20 divided by 10. It means 62 divided by 10. It means 6.2. That's the slope. Now I need the formula. I need the rule. So what's going to be my formula? Did I give you B in this problem or I didn't?
Wouldn't
repeat? I couldn't hear you somehow.
I'm sorry. Isn't B 20?
Right, B is 20. I gave you B. Why I gave you B? Because I gave you the value at 0. So the B here, that's why I gave. I don't always give you the B. In this particular problem, B equal to 0 because at T equal to 0, the value is 0. That's the intercept. So my formula is going to be 6.2 T, sorry, plus 20. A lot of you got that wrong. Please go over it. Try to understand. You messed up a lot of things in this particular problem. Okay. All right. Now identify the slope. Okay. What's the slope? And give it unit. So quickly, guys, I need help. What's the slope?
6.2.
6.2. And what's the unit? What does the slope tells me?
It increased, isn't it $6.2 a year?
$6.2 per year. It means the value of the card increased by $6.2 every year. So every year, the price goes up 6.2. 6.2. That's the picture in this problem. Okay, so try to read the problem. Try to understand what the problem is telling us. What's your input? What's your output? What's really going on? And again, finding the formula, it means finding the rule so that if I know the time, I know the value of the car. So for example, suppose I add a simple question. What's the value of the car after 20 years? Or after 15 years? What's the value of the card after 20 years? Oh, I'm sorry, 15 years of purchase. Will this be an easy question or a hard question? Quickly.
Easy.
Easy, easy. Because now I know the formula. I know after 15 years, I just plug in 15 40, and I'm going to trust your answers 113. I didn't do it because I'm just coming up with it. Okay, that's what it is. Suppose I ask another question along the following line. So once I know the formula, I can start, understanding. Okay, so suppose I ask you the following. When will the value of the card be, let us say, I'm just going to throw any number at you, be, let us say, I don't know, $200. What am I asking this time?
You're asking for the time.
What? Repeat, I couldn't hear you.
You're asking for the time.
Right, I'm asking for the time so that what? Keep going. such that what happened? The value is 200, such that f of t is 200. So now I set f equal to 100 and I solve for t. So now the question is, what should I plug in for t? What value of t? So I have to solve this equation equal to 100. That's the equation that I need. So Brianna, give me 29. Honestly, I didn't even do it. I take 20, so I have to trust Brianna, I'm sure. So I divide by 6.2. And by magic, I got a nice number, right? Yeah, almost 29 years. Absolutely correct. So now I know everything about the value of the card. So the formula is really helping me to understand, to know, okay, we're not always lucky to find a formula, believe me, but those are simple scenarios. So the formula will help me two things. It will help me to find the value any year I want. It will help me also to find the time for any value I want. So we can do it both scenarios, all right? Okay, so that's review for the quiz because I was screaming when I was grading you. I was talking to myself actually a lot. All right, now I go back to your questions concerning the review and I will answer every one of you. And any student who has any question, keep going. So I will go by number 2. Okay, number 2. It's a nice question actually. Okay, let's read it and see what it is. If 7 equal f of minus 2, so you have a function, and I gave you that f of minus 2 equals 7. What point could not be a point on the graph of the function? So read the question carefully and read it. So I'm giving you 7, so you have a function, and it takes minus 2 to 7. And I gave you a bunch of points, and I tell you which one cannot be on the graph. Back to you. Which one cannot be on the graph?
This sounds like a dumb kind of question, but like this, I had issue with this because I didn't know if you wanted us to circle which ones didn't fit. There's like a
okay, which one is not? So it means, can this point be on the graph? Yes or no? So if I'm gonna graph this function, the only thing they are telling me that f of minus 2 is 7. So they are basically telling me, okay, this point here is on the graph. Can this point be on the graph? Yes or not?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
why not? For 7, this tells you that if x equals 7, f is minus 2. Why not? For x equal to 7, it could be minus 2. There is no issue with that. So yes, that could be on the graph. Can 3, 7 be on the graph? Can the function take 3 to 7? Sorry.
Yes.
What kind of crap here I wrote? Sorry, that's minus 2. Suppose it's a 3. Can 3 be equal to 7? Why not? What's going to stop
Yes.
us? How about this point?
No.
Because this point cannot be on the graph because. So who can answer clearly why this point cannot be on the graph?
Isn't because the equation 7 is equal to f of -2. If we put it in the order pair, so it'll be -2, 7, and you can't have two
Right. Keep going.
We can't have two inputs assigned to the output.
We cannot have two output for the same input. Okay, Right, minus 2, 7. If this on the graph means that the function should take minus 2 to 5. Okay, so that's the input, that's the output. If this point is on the graph, it means the function takes minus 2 to 5, but this cannot be because the function is taking minus 2 to 7. It cannot take minus 2 to 5 as well, because we cannot have two output for the same input. So this cannot be on the graph because this means that f of minus 2 equal to 5, but f of minus 2 equal to 7. And the function cannot take cannot take an input to two different output. I cannot have 5 and 7 at the same time. So the answer would be C. C cannot be on the graph. Everything else has to be on the graph. Okay? So that's number 2. It's a nice little problem. All right, now let's move on. 4 and 5. Okay, 4. So I will take 4 and I write it on a nice piece of paper so you guys can see it very clearly. And we're going to talk about it. So this is my 4. I have a graph here, looks like that. And I'm telling you that this is the graph of the function. So I have a function. And this is the graph of it. It means every point on this graph, if I know the x coordinate, the y coordinate is given by this rule. Then I gave you a bunch of points. I gave you the following point, C, and I put 6 here. I left this coordinate open. Then I gave you this point, B, and I put a 1 in here, and I left the second coordinate open. And then I gave you a point A. I left this empty, and I put a 0 in here. Okay, so that's really my problem. And the question is, find the coordinate of A, B, and C. And this graph is given by this formula. It means every point here on the graph, if this is x, this is x minus 5x. That's really what it means. All right, the point C. How can I find the missing coordinate? What's given to you? What do you have to find? Anybody?
You're given y, but you don't have x. So we're
I'm
looking
given
for
y.
x.
I don't have x. I'm giving q dy. I don't have x. How can I find x?
You take the equation given to you and set it equal to 6.
Absolutely correct. We're going to find x, such that f of x equal to 6. Okay, so that's every point here. This is the relation between the coordinate. Now I have the second coordinate. It means I have this is equal to 6. And the question, what shall I plug in for x so that this will give me 6? All right, now we have to solve. And let us remember, because this is have 2, I have to solve it. I should make one side absolutely a 0, only 0. Okay. And then I need to factor. So I need two numbers. When you multiply them, you get minus 6. When you add them, you get minus 1. So 3 and 2, of course not. 1 and 6 should do, right? X. And whenever I factor, I usually try to check, am I doing it correctly? So it's x times x squared minus 6x plus x, correct, minus 6. So this will give me two values, x equal minus 1, x equal to 6. Now, according to this picture, this is the minus 1 because it's positive. So the point C has for coordinate minus 1 and 6. Okay, so again, that's what the formula is. It's this rule that if you know the input, you can find the output. And a lot of time, if you know the output, you can find the input. Okay. B. Okay, how can I find this coordinate for B? Please, everyone, be part of it because you're going to be tested on that. B, what am I giving you? Quickly.
Would you plug in 1 for X?
I plug
and
in
then
1 for X, exactly.
Split it to Y?
Yes, exactly. Because now I'm giving you 1. And what's the graph? It means every point on this graph is crucial. If you know the X, you know the Y. That's really, so you just plug in. So for B, we're given the input. So what I need is f of 1. And the formula is 1 squared minus 5 times 1, which is minus 4. So my point B is 1 minus 4. Okay, so we found the B. Very good. Now A. I give you a minute. I want the whole class to do A for me. Okay, I will give you a minute, 1 minute to A. I want all of you to do it. So if you do mistakes or you don't know, you will figure it out. So please, all of you, try to do A.
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a second to go to the bathroom. Can you tell me what we're referencing?
You mean the function, the rule?
I meant like what sheet you're going off of.
Oh, the review. Sorry. We're doing
Okay.
the review number 4.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Number 4 from the review. All right, I want everybody to get me number A, and whoever find the answer, put it on chat so I know what's going on. Okay, I'm having 1 answer. Anybody else? Okay, that's better. Okay, I want more. Uh-oh, no. Be careful what's given to you. What's given to you? All right, we're doing, okay, I want at least 2 more before I take over. Okay, I want 1 more. Okay, so everybody agreeing on 5. Okay, so why 5 is correct. Here, I'm giving you the output. And the question you, what should you plug in for X in here? What should you put here so that my output is 0? So here, I'm going to find the X. So I'm giving you the output here. So here, we need to find X such that X squared minus 5X equal to 0. Okay, and the way to do that is we have to factor out the X. Okay, because X squared, so remember X squared is X times X minus this. So I need to factor out the X. I will have that equal to 0. So this will give me 2 solutions. One, X equal to 0. The second is X equal to 5. Now I go back to the picture, which one fit the problem the most? 5 is the one to fit. 0, I made a mistake when I sketched the graph. Sorry. The graph should have gone through the origin. So that was my mistake, but it's correct. I wasn't paying attention, but it was correct, of course, on your review. So the graph should have gone like that. So 1, 0. But the one I'm interested in is this one. So the point A will have for coordinate 5 and 0. Okay, graph and formula, graph and formula. Very good. Okay. Now I look up other questions you have. I'm going, so 4. So we done 2. We done, okay, the question is 5E. Okay, let's look at 5. Please ask question as you move on to your chance. So still we are in the review, and the question was number 5. Okay, let me look it up. Okay, 5, and so if 5 is a typical problem that of course you will have stuff along those lines. So I have the following function f of x equal, 5, 6, 7, all of them, you should be responsible for that. Okay, and I've already tested you, so it's not like something you haven't seen before. So the question is basically part E, but I will pick two. So I'll put, I will make B, and I will do D, and I will do E, just so for all of us. So B is B. Find all x such that f of x equal 34. Is this an easy or a hard question? Quickly.
Easy.
Easy. What do we do? What do we do? Quickly.
Set the equation equal to 34.
And we're done. So those are questions here, like what we did a minute ago. I'm giving you the output, you have to find the input. All right, so we set this equal to 0 immediately. One side has to be 0, and then we need to factor out the rest. Plus 6 minus 34 will give me, how much? 28, I guess. And then we factor. Two numbers, when you multiply them, you get 28, are 7 and 4. And I'm gonna give you that. All right, so x equals 7 and x equal minus 4. All right. Okay, so now I will do E because that was the question. The rest shouldn't be hard. Find an expression for f of 3t plus 4. Okay. So these are some of those symbolic type of questions that we have to learn how to handle. So what does f do? Let's look at it. Okay. F square the term. Whatever you give it, it's squared. Minus 3 times 3t plus 4 plus 6. Okay, so that's really what it does. Now the rest is to simplify. Now 3t plus 4 is 3t plus 4 times 3t plus 4 minus. So we have to multiply this up. Here you have to be careful distributing. 3 times 3 is a 9t minus 12 plus 6. Now the whole thing is ready to distribute here. 3t multiplied by 3t. 3 times 3. So it's going to give me 9t squared. Plus 3t times 4. Give me 12t. Plus 4, 12t. Plus 4 times 4, 16. Minus 9t. Okay, minus 12 plus 6. If I combine them, you get minus 6. So finally, I will get 9t squared. I combine the like term. 12 plus 12. That will give me 24. 24, and if I take 9 away from it, it's going to give me 24. You take 9, going to give me 15t. Plus 6, you take away that, you get it. Okay, so just do it then very slowly and you will be all right. Okay. So let's take care of number 5. And now I want to look at number 9b and then 13 and 16. Okay. 9. Okay, so let's look at 9, number 9. B, which is again the symbolic approach, number 9. And I have the function f of x equal plus 6, okay? And the question is to find the average rate of change between average rate of change for x between t and t plus h. Again, this is another type of the symbolic problem that I'm trying to make you used to it. So what's the average rate of change? The formula. It's f minus f of t over t plus h minus t, verbatim. Now, this is equal to t minus t, leave me with h. And now here I get that. Now I'm going to take each expression by itself and evaluate it and see what I get. So f of t plus h is, again, what we did a minute ago. I hope that's the last one I do along those lines. Plus 6. Now I have to find out. T plus h squared is, again, t plus h, t plus h. I have to distribute here. Plus 6. So finally I get t times t, t squared. Distribute. Plus th. Plus th, you're going to get 2th plus h squared minus that. All right. Now, what's f of t? Now, usually we try to see, can I actually kind of simplify or combine like term, but there is nothing to combine here, so I leave it the way it is. Then I evaluate f of t. What is f of t? It means plug in t for that. And the last step is go back to the average rate of change. Now that I found the pieces, now I go back and substitute. So I need f of t plus h, which is t squared plus 2th plus h squared minus 2t plus 6 minus f of t. It's t squared minus 2t plus 6. The whole thing divided by h. All right? And now what we have to do is, of course, simplify as much as we can. So I will have t squared plus 2th plus h squared minus 2 minus 2h plus 6. Now I distribute minus t squared minus say plus 2t minus 6. Now I get rid of what I can get rid of and I see what I end up with. So let's see. Those 6 cancel each other out. Anything else cancel? Anything else cancel? 2 t's, okay? Very well. So what I will be left with is 2th plus h squared minus 2h divided by h. Okay. Now the last thing is that sometimes we can simplify. And we ask ourselves, can I simplify h? The only way I can simplify h is if I can factor it out in the numerator. If I cannot factor it out, I cannot simplify it. So the question is, can I factor it out? H is in this term, so I can factor h here. H squared is h times h, so I can factor here. And this is 2h, so I can factor the h, I will be left. This will leave me with 2t. Plus, this will leave me with 1h, and this will leave me with a 2. So the only way I can simplify the h if I can factor it in the numerator. If you cannot factor it, you don't simplify. And this would leave me that, which is 2t plus h minus 2, and of the problem. Okay. So let me make a comment for, I'm sure I've done it before, but I saw it in your exam. Any questions about that before I proceed? All right. When I was grading your quizzes, few students, they said, okay, she usually in class, she ended up factoring by h. And they tried to factor by h, but sometimes they did a mistake. So suppose a student ended up with h plus 2 over h. So they did a mistake, which is okay. It's not like a big deal. But if you end up with this scenario, can you factor out the h? Yes or no? No. When can you factor? You're still factoring. A lot of students are still factoring. When can you factor? Once Go ahead.
If it were like 2h, like being multiplied instead of added, then you could.
Right. If you have this to simplify, you have h has to be a factor. It's not h, but you have it too. Okay. So the only way you can factor, if you have, let us say, 4h plus 5h squared, for example, I'm just making up a scenario, then when it's multiplied, exactly, when it's multiplied, now I can factor my h over h. And then I can do it. But I cannot factor it if you have an addition. I can factor if it's a factor. It means if you have multiplication. So please be careful with that, because we should learn it. All right, so this takes care of this problem. Now let us see some other problems. I hope no more of this kind. So let's see what we are here. We have 13 and 16. I will look at 13, 16. 13, okay. All right. So number 13. So we have the following scenario. I have a function x, and the values are -204. And the output are 10, 4, -8, okay? And the question is F linear. Okay. All right, so the only way we can figure out if the function is linear, we actually have to compute is the slope remain the same? Okay, because here we're not changing by the same. So from here to here, I'm going up by 2. And from here to here, I'm going up by 4. So I'm not going up by 1 to be able just to check the change in the output. So I'm changing it to here by 2 by 4. So the only way we can find out linear or not, we have to compute the rate between every 2 points. So what do I mean by that? So if x is between -2 and 0, the average rate of change, or if you want the delta y over the delta x, that's really what this means, is equal to the following. At 0, I am at 4 minus 10 over 0 minus -2. Give me -6 over 2, which is -3. Okay, so if we go by 2, this is going up by -6. So the ratio is -3. Between 0 and 4, are we keeping the same ratio? Because it's really about a ratio here. So let me check. Are we keeping the same ratio? Between 4 and -8, what's the change? From here to here, the change is actually -12. Over 4, it's -3. So is this a linear function, yes or not? Back to you guys. Linear, absolutely, that's a linear function, okay? If the x goes by 2, y went down by -6. X went by 4, it went down by -12. So the ratio is always the same. And that's really what the slope is about. So the slope is absolutely the same. This is 13. Now let me look at number 16. Okay. Number 16. Uh-oh. Sorry. Okay. Number 16. The question is, find the equation of the line that passes. So it passes through what? Passes through what? -1, 2. So the line, and it's parallel to the line with equation 3y minus 5x plus 1 equal to 0. Okay, so I have a line, I have a point, I have that, and I know that's parallel to that. I need to find the equation. So to find the equation, we need a point and we need the slope. So if I have the point and the slope, then I have the line. So I'm going to call, so I have the point. And the question is the slope. What's the slope? All right. It's parallel to this line. It means the line I'm interested in have the same slope as that one. So we need to find, so let L2 be the line, this line, equal to 0. We need the slope of L2. To find the slope, I have to write this in the form y equal mx plus b. So it's going to give me, this is equal, so slope of L2. 5x minus 1. I divide by 3 across, will give me 5 over 3x minus 1 over 3. So the slope of this line is 5 over 3. It's what x is multiplied by. So now what do I want? So now we need to find the following. The point is minus 1, 2. So that's my line L1. And the slope, what's the slope of the line I'm interested in? It goes through this point. It's parallel to that. If it's parallel, it means it have the same slope as this line. So the line I'm interested in have the slope also 5 over 3. Okay, it's not perpendicular. So this, not x, 5 over 3. Be careful. The slope is a number. It has no x in it. So now I'm interested in a line that go through this point, have slope 5 over 3. Because it's parallel to this line. So it have the exact same slope. So now how to find this equation? We've done this like you can use the point slope form or the slope intercept. X minus 1. So you get y minus 2 equal 5 over 3, x plus 1, and then you find y equal 5 over 3x plus 5 over 3. And then I will finish on another paper. Okay, so perpendicular, you have one rule. Parallel, you have another rule. You have to be careful with what I'm giving you. So it's going to give me y equal 5 over 3x plus 5 over 3 plus 2, common denominator, plus 5 over 3, plus I have to multiply 6 over 3. I have to multiply by 3, divide by 3. Finally, my y equal 5 over 3x plus 11 over 3. Okay, so I have a line. I need to find the equation. I need the point and I need the slope. The point is given to me, not the slope. But they're telling me that it's parallel to another line. Parallel to that. So I go and find the slope of this line. To find it, I have to put in the slope intercept form so I can pick up the slope. The slope is 5, 3. Now I have a point, I have the slope, I have my equation. And the right.
Excuse me, do you mind putting on the first page that you were writing on?
This one?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so now I'm gonna go through, I think I'm done with the first list of problems. And then the second list is asking for 10, 12, and what else? 13.
All good. Thank
All
you.
right, sure.
I'm sorry, can you go to the second page one more time too, just for a
Of
second?
course, no problem. Why I figure out what the other questions are. So it's 10. Okay, and 12. And 13. So 13 I did. Then I will do 12. It's just equation of a line. So we found this. So I look at number 10, and there are other questions I would like to talk about. Number 10. Are you guys done?
Yes.
Yes, everyone? Okay. So let me move to number 10, and then I would like to do more problems. So make sure you guys understand the picture. So what's number 10? Again, you have to read. Read. Oh, Alicia, you're not, no, sorry. We have to read, so let us read. I'm trying to keep up with your questions. Sorry, guys. The table below gives the number in millions of iPhone sold as a function of time. Okay, so the number of the phone, the number of iPhone changes with time. So in 2008, 12 million were sold. 2012, 125 million were sold. 2011 were sold, million. And 2018, 217 million were sold. So of course, the number is increasing very fast. And my question is, let n be the function that is assigned to each year t, the number of iPhones sold in that year. So instead of using the letter F, I use the letter N because why not? Okay, so the question is find and interpret N of 2018. So N now is the name of the function that you give it the time and it gives you the number of iPhone in the year t. That's really what N, number of iPhone in year t. Okay, so quickly, what does N of 2018 find it? It means if time is 2018, what's N?
Isn't it 217 million?
Million. It means in 2018, 217 millions were sold. Okay, it's just million. Now, I'll only do B because C would be verbatim the same. Find the average rate of change between 2008 and 2018. So now I'm telling you, okay, the number of iPhone is increasing. Of course, it's increasing. How fast was it increasing between 8 and 12? So it's equal to, I'll pick up a paper so I can write clearer. I have to use the data, but I will pick up. So number B. So the average rate of change, it means how it's the number of phones in the year 2012 minus the number of phones in 2018 sold. It means basically was how much the number of iPhone increased by divided by 2012 minus 2008, how long it took. That's the average, how fast the number of iPhone is changing with time. So, okay, in 2012, it's 125 million. We keep that in our mind, minus 12 million, divided by 4. So it's gonna give me 113 over 4. So 113 over 4, I'm gonna put it in decimal just to give you explain it better. So 116 divided by 4 is gonna give me 28.25. That's the average rate. And now I want you guys to give me the unit and interpret. What's the unit?
Million per year.
Absolutely, $1 million per year. Okay, which means that, okay, the number of iPhone is increasing between 2008 and 2012. It increased by 113 million. Over 4 years period, the number of iPhone increased by 113. So the average rate is, okay, so in average, how much was it increasing by? So it means on average, the number of iPhones sold between the year 2008 to 2012 was increasing at the rate of 28.25 million. Sorry, this is nonsense. You should guys correct me. Million iPhone per year. So the number of iPhone was increasing at the rate of 28.25 million per year. Okay, and that's really what the average rate is. How fast was things changing? How fast? All right, the B, C is verbatim the same, so I will not really, I will not do it again. All right. Did I answer all your questions? I think. Okay, so what else? All right. To make sure all of you are really following me, I'm gonna do like one more problem that again is story problem, just to make sure we all understand how to read problems, because it seems that this is some of the difficulties. So I would like to finish myself with 21 and 22. And then if you have any more questions, you guys take over, all right? So 21. It's a scenario that I exposed you to before, but now I'm exposing you to it again with slight change. So as dry air moves upward, it cools. And let F be the function that assigns to each height in kilometer above ground level the temperature of the air in degrees Celsius at this height. And these are some values of T. So again, something now that should start coming up to your mind. What is F? So what is F? This is F. What's F doing? F, what is F?
F is the temperature at each height.
F of T is the temperature. Let's be very precise. Yeah, temperature at height. T. So what we input what? We input height, we output the temperature. Okay, that's really what this function is. So, and these are some values. .3, 1.8, 17.2. Okay, before I go any further, what's the unit of this 0.3? What's the unit of it? Kilometer, absolutely. Because what F does, it takes the height measured in kilometer to the temperature. So this T here is kilometer. What about F of T? What's the unit of F of T? To the output, what are we assigning to kilometer? Back to you, I'm reading your chat. Temperature, what's the unit? Degrees Celsius. That's the unit. Yeah, Celsius, that's really the unit. So now so if the height is 0.3, the temperature will be 17. As we go up, when the height is 0.8, the temperature is 2 degrees. The temperature is absolutely decreasing. Now, assume F is linear. It means when you graph this function, we have a line, or F of T is mt plus b. Sketch the graph of F, label clearly the horizontal and the vertical axis. So now if I want to graph X, graph. Question number 1, what should go on the horizontal axis? Height. That's the input. That's the height in kilometer. Always the input. On the vertical axis now, what's left is the temperature in degrees Celsius. Okay. So when I am sketching here, so this should be like 1 kilometer. That's what I read it. This is 2 kilometers. That's the unit here. Now, if T is 0.3, so 0.3 should be somewhere here. The temperature is 17. If this is 17, so this is my point, my 1 point on the graph. And the other one, 1.8. So 1.8 should be somewhere here. And it's 2. So if this is 2 here, okay, so this has nothing to do now. And that's my other point. So my graph should look something like that, give and take. Sorry. Okay, I have to tweak it a little bit so I can draw my line. Okay. So it's a straight line. That's really my line right there. So these are the 2 points I have. Okay. Now question number 1 is sketch the graph. Assume it's linear. Linear, it means telling me the graph is a line. And graph it. Now, assume F is linear, find a formula for F of T. What are they asking us about now? Okay. What are they asking us about? Formula for F of T. Quickly. What do you want me to do?
First, we have to find the slope.
To find the slope. It means find the rules that if you know the time, the height, You know the temperature. So the slope is 2 minus 17 over that. Now, if we do the math, you're gonna get minus 10. Now, question number 2. Do we have the intercept in this problem? Do we have the vertical intercept? Yes or no? Do we have B?
Yes.
What is it? No.
Oh, well, I guess not.
Crucial. Yeah, because that's a very typical mistake. Why 17 is not B? Because 17 is not, the output when T is 0. The intercept is this one here that I actually don't know. Get very clear. So you have the intercept if you have, because it's not at 0, exactly. It's 17 is not the height at 0, so I don't have the B. I have to go and look for it. Okay, so we need to find B. So we know that basically it's find the equation of the line. F of t now is minus 10 times t plus the B. Okay, to find the B, I can use any of those points to find the B. So now I know that if T is 1.8, the temperature, or the Y if you want, you can call it, is equal to 2. So if I plug in 1.8 for T, 1.8 for T, here I should put it 2. So basically I'm finding the equation of this line. You can use any form you want. So it's gonna give me 2 equal, and if I multiply this, I think I get, blank right now, plus B. So this will give me B equal to 20. So the formula will become F of t equal minus 10t plus 20. You see the B is not 17 because the B is what happened when t equal to 0. It's not 17 in this case. So be very careful with that. Very good. So question number C now is identify the slope, give it unit. Okay, slope. What's the slope? And what's the unit of the slope? Quickly, guys, we don't have a lot of time. I would like to finish what I have in mind at least. What's the slope?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. Very good. What's the unit? What's the unit of the slope? Go back to your problem, the picture, ask yourself. The slope tells me when my input increased by 1, what happened to the output? So what is the unit of the slope?
Would it be minus 10 degrees?
That's an incomplete answer.
Degrees
You can
Celsius.
finish it. You can finish it. The minus 10 degrees.
Per kilometer?
What? Per kilometer.
Per kilometer, yeah.
Per kilometer. Okay. Minus 10 is by how much? The temperature decrease every time you go up by 1 kilometer. Okay, so it's like if I tell you what's your speed one more time. If you tell me 60 miles, I look at you. What do you mean by 60 miles your speed? When you tell me 60 miles per hour, I know what you're talking about. Okay, and that's exactly the slope. The slope tells me what happened per kilometer because my input here is the kilometer. So I will draw my picture again now. This is really my graph. This is the height and this is the temperature. The slope tells me if my height increases by 1, that's by how much the temperature decreases. So it tells me the decrease per kilometer. Minus 10 degrees, I tell you, what do you mean by that? It's degrees per kilometer. So we go up 1 kilometer, by how much the temperature runs down? By minus 10 degrees. Okay, so what the slope tells you is the decrease in by how much the temperature decreases when the height goes up by 1 kilometer. And every time you go by 1, the temperature decreases by minus 10 degrees. Now, D, So now I have a formula. So I know what f of t is. D was at what height the temperature of the air reaches 0? The temperature is 0. How will you do this problem?
Would you take the slope form or the formula? Yeah, the slope intercept formula, and then instead of y, you would plug in 0. So it'll be 0
You
equals.
agree? Okay. Do you agree? Everyone. Read the problem again. What do I want?
You have 0 equals negative 10x
Right.
plus 20.
Yes. So now what do I want? I want the height. So we said this, sorry, my apology. We said this equal to 0, and we solve for t. Okay. We don't plug in 0 for t, because that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you for which height. So what should be the value of t, which is so that the temperature is 0. So 0 is the output. I'm finding t. So if you solve that, you get t should be kilometer. So after 2 kilometers up, the temperature will be 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. These questions as we move on. Okay. So the last one I would like to talk about is number 22. Nobody asked about, but just make sure you guys can handle those problems. And then the rest, you guys go over them, like number 20. Try to do it on your own and see if you can figure it out. And I have the answers on Blackboard, so you on Brightspace, so you guys can check them out. So number 22 is the following. I gave you the graph of two functions. I think I did something like that on the board. I'm sure I did. Okay. And I gave you the graph, so I'm going to copy the graph again, because here I can write more comfortably. For x plus 8, we know that it's a line, so even if they don't have the graph for it, we should know. X squared plus x minus 4, that's probably you don't know, but soon enough you should be able to sketch that. So that's a typical parabola, and it's going to go like that. Let me get it kind of correct. So that's really the graph. So this is my parabola. It means this graph, the relationship between y and x, this is y equal x squared plus 3x minus 4. And right here, this is the line. It means every point on this line, this is for x plus 8. So we have the graph of two functions. And my question is, what are the coordinates of those 2 points? And I want it to be done purely algebraically. So quickly, how do we do that?
No, just set the 2 points equal to each other.
2 points, be more precise. Even though the idea is, I think, is correct, I want you to be more precise.
The y equals.
Right. You said the y of both of them to be equal to each other. So we're going to find the x such that if you plug x in here, or you plug the x in here, the y are the same. So we said really the y is equal to each other. Okay. So that's really the idea. Which axis will make the y from the parabola equal to the y from the line? That's how we find the intersection point. Okay. So we're going to do it very quickly and then finalize it. So that's involve a square. So that's in simple equation. So I have to make one side to be actually a 0. So I have to take for x equal to 0. Then I combine and I factor. And so far, at least for now, the problem should be minus 4 minus 8, which could be minus 12 equal to 0. Okay, now I have to factor. So two numbers when you multiply, you get 12. So, and when you, am I doing something stupid? So it should be minus x. So 3 and 4 will do. So minus and a plus. Okay, thank you, Jessica. So this is gonna give me x equal minus 3 for 1 and x equal to 4. Okay, so this point, that should be the negative, and this should be the positive one. Now the question is, you have to find the coordinate. It means I actually want both, this one and that one. How can I find the second coordinate quickly? How can I find this one?
Do you plug in the x to each line and then solve for y?
Where do you want me to plug it in?
So if we're finding the coordinates for the blue line, then we'll plug in the -3 for x. So it'll be
Okay, so all right, so if I plug in, so I'm gonna take x equal -3, and I'm taking the blue one. I'm gonna plug it in here. So I will get 4 times -3 plus 8. This is what you're saying, right? Which is -12 plus 8. This is -4. Now, suppose I plug it into the red one. What should I get?
The same thing.
I should get the same thing. If I don't get the same thing, what I'm doing is wrong. You should get the same thing, whether you input in the blue, which is purple for me, or the red. Either way, you should get the same thing, because we're finding the whole problem was to find the x, which will make the both y's equal. So x equal -3, that's the intersection. It means at this point, whether you plug in into here or here, you should have the same value. And let's check it out. I'm gonna plug in the red one. If I don't get the same answer, I'm not doing things right. Let's say 9 minus 9 minus 4, absolutely -4. So intersection point, it means you're finding the x, whether you plug it here in the red or the blue, that's the intersection point. It means this point is on both graphs. It means those coordinates should satisfy this equation and satisfy this equation at the same time. Now for 4 times 4, that's say 16. 16 plus 8, 24. I will plug it into the first one. If I plug in a 4 in here, I will have 4 squared. 3 times 4, it's a 12 minus 4. It gives me 16 plus 12.
To receive and but then I have 2,000 more in cash.
Okay, I will have 16 plus 12. This is going to give me 28 minus 4, which give me a 24. Therefore, this point makes sense. Okay. All right, so with this, I finished my review. You guys please go over the problems I didn't do and the problem I did, and go over your quizzes. The exam, as you know, it starts at 12:15. Now, if you are a few minutes late, it's not really a big deal. And it closes, I told you at what time it closes. It closes at, I don't know, like 2:15 or something. You guys know, no, it closes at 2.
And this is closed note, right?
What?
It's closed note, so no notes or anything?
I'm done. I don't know what's your question. Yeah.
We can't use notes, right?
No, because I mean, the only thing you guys has to know basically is the formula for the average rate, the point slope form, the slope intercept. What else? I mean, these are the only formulas you really need to know. And that's basically it. And the perpendicular line was the relationship between the slope. And I want the camera on. I want all of you to have your camera on. I need to see you. And what else? If you have any questions, I have